You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's, as we're in Uncasville, Connecticut for the Air Force Reserve Basketball Hall of Fame Tip-Off Championship. An electric atmosphere expected at Mohegan Sun Arena today for the championship game, a Big East Big Ten showdown in Providence and Michigan. Hi everyone, alongside Chris Matola, I'm John Brickley. These two programs don't rebuild, they just reload. And for veteran play, it's going to be key this year in college basketball. Michigan has one of the best in Charles Matthews.
They do. Michigan's one of the 5 best teams I have seen this year, and it starts with Charles Matthews. He was terrific in their game yesterday, so efficient. 25 points on 13 shots, did it at all 3 levels. There's that first level. There he is behind the 3-point line, and watch this move. To the basket at level 1. Terrific. And then Providence has a special one in Alpha Diallo. Fills up a stat sheet, plays that point forward position, takes you on the block, really gets other guys involved. They were outstanding in transition yesterday. These two guys, this matchup today, Matthews, Diallo, should be terrific.
Diallo nearly tallied a triple-double in Providence win yesterday against South Carolina. As for Charles Matthews, a preseason All-Big Ten selection for the Wolverines, nearly perfect from the field with that 25-point performance in the win over George Washington. Our officials this afternoon, DJ Carr Stetson, Rob Riley, and Bo Borowski, as we are set to go from the Mohegan Sun Arena as Michigan takes over the opening possession. Michigan starting 5, highlighted by another freshman star in the making, and Iggy Brazdeikis. Jordan Poole as well, who put up a career-high 22 in the win over South Carolina as John Teske gets the Wolverines on the board. And for Providence, Ed Cooley for the second straight game, going with the
Khalif Young on the other end, an early shot. This is not your typical John Beilein offense, not with the 2-guard front. It is much more of a pace in space from that guy's team this year. They're going to spread you out. They can go to a small lineup that I think ends up being their best lineup, and they are devastating in transition.
We saw that back on Wednesday night in the 27-point win over Villanova in a rematch of last year's national championship game. Shot clock down to 3 for Matthews. With Nichols in his face, front iron that attempt, but an offensive rebound.
Michigan had 15 threes in their game yesterday against GW. By far, their best performance behind the arc all year.
Nichols using that length, 6'8" frame with the partial block. Here's Alpha Diallo in the corner to Nichols for 3. Quickly in transition, Simpson ahead to Brazdeikis, the bucket and the foul.
They are devastating in transition. I've seen one team better than them this year in the open floor, and that's Duke. They don't run in transition, they sprint. And when they get downhill off a bad shot early in the clock, which that was for Providence, or a live ball turnover, they get out and run, and they have finishers.
Brazdeikis, who won the starting job over that 10-day trip to Spain, led the team in points and rebounds, and has been a force, a part of this 4-0 start to the season for Michigan. Duke inside to A.J. Reeves, the floater in the lane, and Providence gets on the board.
Known as a perimeter shooter, A.J. Reeves, the freshman. Well, what a nice little set play there to get him a bucket close.
Michigan coming off back-to-back seasons where they won the Big Ten tournament title. Great success reaching the national championship game last year. And again, that statement win against Villanova. Here's Duke through the lane, off the mark. Brazdeikis there for the rebound. Worked it down low, Teske with a double team, and Duke the high-flying rebound picked up for Providence. Diallo lost the handle of it, turnover forced, And that is what makes Michigan such a great elite defense over the last couple of years, making opponents make those mistakes. Brazdeikis through the lane and finishes with the left hand.
He has no fear. He's an unbelievable combination of force and skill, and you saw both there on that drive. What a story he's been to start the year for Michigan. Providence wants to use their tempo offensively. If they've got something early, they'll take it, but they want their offense and a deliberate tempo to kind of help their defense.
Shot clock down to 1. Diallo has to throw it up. Good defensive set in the half court by Michigan. And here's Jordan Poole. And Chris, if Michigan is going to make a deep run again this year, Jordan Poole has to be one of the key factors.
Well, they have a lot of key factors. This guy with the ball is one of them. I mean, he is the engine that makes this thing go. And it's pretty crazy. Coming into their game yesterday, Simpson and Poole had a combined 2 made threes on the year. They combined to make 9 yesterday against George Washington. And like we said, this is a Michigan team that hadn't shot the ball well coming into this tournament. Made 15 threes as a team yesterday. If they shoot the ball well, you can forget it, because we know that defense is going to be there. It's been a hallmark of this program over the last few years, even with the turnover of guys that they've had.
Lost Mo Wagner, along with Muhammad Ali, Abdur Rahman, Duncan Robinson as well. So Simpson, one of those veteran players that John Beilein's going to have to count on.
And that's when you know the defensive mentality is embedded in your culture, when it can sustain that turnover. It wasn't about those guys, it's about Michigan being good on that end.
Simpson, who had a near triple-double in that semifinal win yesterday against George Washington, an early 5-point lead here for Michigan. Diallo ahead to Duke. Great vision by the junior to find the freshman.
Another nice set play to get the freshman a shot. Good delivery from Diallo, so unselfish. And at 6'5", Duke, a good size and a terrific athlete.
Duke, who struggled in the season opener against Siena, was held scoreless. Didn't get his first points of his college career till under the 4-minute mark in the Veterans Classic against Wichita State. Matthews, the long three, way off the mark. Nichols looking to create. That one partially blocked by Matthews. And lost out of bounds. Will head to Michigan. That brings us to a timeout. When we come back on the other side of the break, we'll go poolside with a rising star for the Michigan Wolverines.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Air Force Reserve. College tuition assistance is available with the Air Force Reserve. Citi, welcome what's next. And Zales, 'tis the season to make an unmistakable statement. Find your style at Zales.
The many talents of Jordan Poole, the team photographer on their trip to Spain. He had the heroic shot a year ago in the tournament, and we went poolside with Chris Spatola.
We all know about the shot you hit last year against Houston, but it was the celebration after when you were making like Barry Sanders, avoiding all the tackles. What was going through your mind?
So initially I hit the shot, and I was just in awe. I was surprised. So like naturally you just start running around. But where we were, the way the gym was set up, there was a tunnel to go to the locker room back there. So I was about to run to the locker room like, you know what I'm saying, let's just get up out of here, let's leave. I know that I had to come back. I made that decision probably like the clock. So I had to turn around, happened to be in front of Houston's bench. And I didn't want to celebrate in front of their bench, everybody talking to me. So you know what I'm saying, I got little. Got up from all the teammates and I just ran around. I just gave up. Like, I let them tackle me for a little bit.
I hope Jim Harbaugh was watching that video if he ever needs a backup running back. But the good thing for Jordan Poole, Chris, was broke out of his slump yesterday.
He was terrific. And I think shot selection had a lot to do with his struggles early in the year. But he really, I thought, took good shots. He was under control. Really felt himself yesterday. He and Simpson.
After that shot in the win against Houston to get to the Sweet 16, I thought it was interesting. John Beilein had said he has an overdose of swag. That's how he described Jordan Poole.
something that I do not suffer from, the overdose of swag.
Diallo with here's Watson, the hook shot off the mark, and there's Brodakis with the rebound for Michigan. Chris giving us a different vantage point under the baseline, and as you see Providence trying to go up defensively, how do they try to shut down Michigan's offense?
Well, it's tough because, you know, the court is 50 feet wide, and Michigan uses all 50 feet. I mean, they put two guys in the corners. They've got guys spaced out. In this small lineup with Livers at the 5, it becomes impossible to guard all of that space.
Diallo, turnaround jumper. His struggles continue, and over the back call against Providence. And that goes against Watson, his second.
Providence fouls on Nate Watson, his second personal. 15th foul against the Friars. John Teskey returns for Michigan.
Diallo forcing it a little bit. I mean, and the thing where I'm sitting now, sitting underneath the basket here, he never stops talking. So he's not going to allow missing shots to get into his head, but they've got to get him going. They're trying to put him on the block a little bit, trying to move him around.
Here's Eli Brooks off the bench for Michigan. As Poole defensively one-on-one with Diallo. That's a great matchup for Providence.
Nice job. Wow.
And a nice takeaway by Providence. And a reach and foul.
I'll tell you what, that'll give you goosebumps right there. I mean, this is, from where I'm sitting, that's a dude in the stands who refuses to give up any ground. That'll give you the warm fuzzies.
Diallo, who was a preseason all Big East first team selection coming in. One of the veterans for this Providence team. And the baseline as a rejection comes by Isaiah Livers. And here's Chris, from your vantage point, how dangerous Michigan can be in transition.
Wow.
Simpson, the floater, goes down.
And the problem is the spacing gives you that driving opportunity. You have to match up. They put so many guys out there who can shoot it that Simpson just takes advantage. What a floater.
Providence has struggled 3 of 16 to begin this game, as Diallo trying to get his first 2 points, and will head to the free throw line.
Look at this defensive play on one end. Look at this defensive play by Isaiah Livers. Keeps control of it, and then he can lead the break. A nice kick ahead, and that's the early driving opportunity. You see the two guys in the corners? That's what you can see from where I'm at now. I mean, again, the court's 50 feet wide. When you have to guard those two guys in those corners, it just allows that jitterbug of a guard in Simpson to get himself into the paint.
I thought it was interesting after the loss by Villanova to Michigan. Jay Wright had said that this was John Beilein's best defensive team ever. They've been an elite defense over the last couple of years. What are you seeing that's giving Providence so much of an issue trying to get back into this game down by 8?
You know, there's nobody you can pick on, right? Like, when I played, I was the guy in the scouting report where opposing coach was saying, drive his little rear end. On this Michigan team, there's nobody in the scouting report you could say, once we get that matchup, let's go after him. They all guard their matchup. They're so connected. They never stop talking. And they're tough. You know, they believe that defense, even with how poorly they've played offensively to this point in the season, they know their defense will sustain them.
Shot clock down to 5 for Simpson. Throws one in the lane as Jackson comes away with it. Providence in transition. Here's Duke, top of the arc. Approaching the final 9 minutes of this first half. Emmett Holt off the bench, the redshirt senior. Off the mark with that 3, and a foul underneath goes against Michigan. And a reminder, coming up on Monday, the Maui Jim Maui Invitational. It'll start on ESPN2. A number of teams in the top 10, including Auburn and Gonzaga. But Chris, what a matchup we could potentially see with #1 Duke and #3 Gonzaga could meet in the championship game.
I'm going to tell you the 5 best teams I've seen so far this year, Brick. This is what the top 5 should be tomorrow. And if it's not, America should be disappointed. It's Duke, it's Auburn, it's Gonzaga, it's Kansas, and it's this Michigan team. Those are the 5 best teams I have seen. And the 2 best teams I've seen in the open floor, again, are Duke and this Michigan team. And it starts, again, with Michigan, it starts with that offense. But coming into this tournament, they have not been great offensively. They looked great against Villanova, but when you look at a dive into the numbers, they were good. They weren't great. But that defense has sustained them. They've started making shots here in this tournament. And they've got really 2 lineups that you have to prepare for. That starting lineup with Teskey in it is different than when they go small and they do a lot of pick and pops. They space 5 guys out. It is a lot of pace and space. It's a breakaway from that 2-guard front that John Beilein has historically done. They're a lot of fun to watch.
So the official review right now with the hook and hold rule that has been in play. We saw that yesterday in the Providence, South Carolina game. As Michigan with a 16-9 advantage over Providence. Diallo off the inbounds pass. Gets the 3-point shot to go, his 11th 3 of the season.
And making a shot allows Providence to set up this 3-quarter court press. That was great for them yesterday against South Carolina.
Diallo, who's a 53% three-point shooter this year. That has been his struggle over the first couple of seasons at Providence. Here's Matthews slicing through that Providence defense. First 2 points for Matthews after a 25-point performance in yesterday's win over George Washington. Holt traveled with the basketball, turnover for Providence, their 6th.
This is his first bucket. Just starts with a high pick and roll, little dribble handoff, and poorly defended. You got a freshman there not understanding the switch, but a good drive. Matthews getting to his right hand. You see the numbers from yesterday, was so efficient. 25 points and only 13 shots.
And John Beilein had made mention as well. He wants to see a more polished version of Charles Matthews this year if Michigan wants to make a deep run. Teskey open down low as Livers. Lost the handle. Shot clock down to 2 as Teskey, and a great half-court defensive set by Providence with the shot clock violation. Michigan, Providence in a back-and-forth battle, and Cooley fired up his Friars down by 6.
Pat Mahomes is going to light this league on fire. Touchdown, LA!
They can score on just about anybody.
The Rams are making a prime-time statement. Showtime! What a matchup in Monday Night Football.
Should be a great matchup between a pair of 9-1 teams coming up on Monday Night Football, Chiefs and the Rams. Back here in Uncasville, Connecticut, where Michigan has held to a 6-point lead with 7:37 left to go in this first half. Chris, your biggest takeaways so far for both sides?
Both teams are so physical on the defensive side, and I think at some point Providence is going to have to get their star going. They've played a lot of guys in this half, something Ed Cooley did yesterday.
Holt in the paint, the floater goes down. What a story it's been for the redshirt senior. Missed all of last year because of an abdominal injury. And he has been asked by Ed Cooley to be one of the veterans coming off the bench for Providence.
Providence starting to make some shots now, which is allowing them to set up that defense. With 6 early turnovers, some bad shots. I thought got Michigan off to a good run to start the game.
Providence only shooting 26% in this first half. Matthews, the senior, able to draw a contract from Duke.
David Duke playing with so much more confidence in the early going today, and then certainly yesterday with the way he played. Had really struggled coming into that game yesterday. But the 20 points, I thought he controlled the game much better at that. He's learning how to be a point guard, and I thought he controlled the game better yesterday than he has.
Was ranked as the 47th prospect in the ESPN 100 pool with an answer for Michigan, the lead back up to 6.
What a tough shot from Jordan Poole.
Malik White off to A.J. Reeves from long range, and Brazdeikis there for the rebound. 4 rebounds so far for the freshman. Brazdeikis drives, finishes with the right hand, and the rebound taken down by Malik White, the junior off the bench for Providence. Jackson trying to finish strong, but draws contact underneath.
Tell you what, you bring the ball to the basket in this game, you better bring it with vigor. Because both these teams are coming over to make a play. You got to earn everything at the basket here this afternoon.
Jordan Poole picking up his second foul for Michigan. Puts Jackson to the free throw line, the redshirt senior transfer from George Mason. This is a Providence team that started off the year 3-1. Their only loss to Wichita State. But what do you make of the nucleus of this Providence team with the talented backcourt with Reeves and Duke and the interior presence with Watson and guys like Jackson?
When you have a young backcourt, it's going to be variable. You're going to go up and down. I think, again, Ed Cooley has used the early part of this season to play a lot of guys, figure out what rotations work best for him. The thing you got to like, though, is they have a star in Diallo. They play hard. I mean, that's the one thing, that they play really hard and they're physical. And so I think this is a team that will fully vest by January and February. I think they have a chance with the Big East being down a little bit this year. I think Ed Cooley's team has a chance to be one of the best teams in that Big East by January, February.
Providence, who has been to the NCAA tournament 5 straight years, going through a somewhat of a rebuild mode with the losses of Kyron Cartwright, their 3rd leading scorer from last year, along with Rodney Bullock, Jalen Lindsey, 46% of that scoring offense. Where do you see this Providence team in the mix of the Big East, where we've seen Villanova struggle with a couple early losses?
Well, the league is down. There's no doubt about that. And I think there are things we still have to figure out. Again, like, who is Providence going to be? You mentioned how old they've been at the guard position with Kyron Cartwright, Chris Dunn. Now they go young. Who is St. John's now with Mustafa Heron in the fold? I think there are a lot of things that we still have to figure out about that league. But those old staples, the Villanovas, the Xaviers, at least in the early going, not quite who they've been.
White, nice fadeaway jumper to answer for Providence. White, one of those veteran presence off the bench that Cooley had talked about this week at shoot-arounds. As Livers finding Brazdeikis. Does everything right-handed except shoots left-handed. And the rebound taken down by Jackson. And the reach-in going to go against Teskey, the junior. And a reminder, we'll have the exclusive reveal of the next college football playoff top 25 rankings on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Reese and the guys will break down all of them from top to bottom, have coaches' reactions, as well as a live interview with new committee chairman Rob Mullins. You can always watch live on the ESPN app, presented by Capital One. Chris, last night a lot of fans around the casino nervous with Michigan trailing Indiana at one point.
I don't know if they were nervous in a casino because they had something on it or not, but the story of their football team is bad. Both these programs. Tremendous on the defensive side. And you've got two unbelievable minds for the game, but I don't think you can find two different personalities in the respective head coaches in Jim Harbaugh and John Beilein.
That is true. Stark comparisons to one another as Reeves will take a seat. Meanwhile, Matthews has 2 fouls in this game for Michigan, with Diallo at the free throw line, and you're really high on Diallo. You like this guy for Providence.
I do. I really do. I like guys who can do a lot of things. He's like a queen on a chessboard, and Ed Cooley uses him that way. He'll bring him out. He'll have him initiate some offense. He doesn't force things. You know, he kind of lets the game come to him. He gets other guys involved. He's been a really good calming presence for those 2 freshman guards.
Leads this team in points, rebounds, and assists. Does Diallo, averaging a double-double on the season, as Providence within 4. Simpson, the catalyst, the quarterback of the offense.
Pass.
As Brosdakis had it stripped away.
What a block from behind.
White, long-range 3, gets Providence within 1. A 6-0 run for Providence has gotten the Friars within 1 of Michigan.
We are having some tremendous plays on both sides. This was good offense. Look at the pass, but better defense with the block from behind. And then Malik White makes a play on the other end. Buckets! You give me too much credit, Coach Greenberg. And don't worry, Fonz, I have screwed up Brosdakis' name 100 times to this point. You're okay in my book.
There's Teskey, long range for 3, and he knocks it down. An answer for Michigan, their first 3 of the game. They had 15 yesterday against George Washington, but going back to what Seth had to say, after that victory over Villanova, Seth has high praise for this Michigan team, thinks they're a second weekend team.
I think they're a Final Four team. I mean, not to trump his second weekend, but I just think when you can guard at a high level, and let's not forget, in their run to the title game last year, in 4 of those 6 games, they did not play well offensively. It was their defense that sustained them. And so when you can guard at that elite level, and I think Brosdakis injects some toughness, some energy to a lineup that, it lost a lot. I mean, that's how good Michigan has become and how good John Beilein has made this program.
Quick timeout. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Michigan up by 4.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge Black Friday savings.
We expected a back-and-forth battle between Providence and Michigan. That is what we have here at Mohegan Sun Arena, the championship game, 24-20, Michigan with the lead. And for Providence, one of their standpoints in this first half, Chris, has been the bench.
It has. It really has. And they go, again, they played 11 guys in the first half yesterday, so he will go deep. Nice pass. Catch it. Gotta catch it. Give Providence a lot of credit because I think they've been the most physical defense Michigan has seen so far this year.
Providence, their big issue has been the turnovers, 7 here today. And a turnover by Michigan. Mentioned the bench for Providence. White, a key reason, 5 points to help the Friars to stay within striking distance of Michigan. Diallo, short jumper goes down, his second made field goal of the half. 8 points for the junior, has Providence back within 2. And a foul right in front of us against Nichols.
And they're going to say, the official said that Jimmy Nichols got into the cylinder of Isaiah Livers, and I like the call. You know, before last year, they instituted this rule last year where that would have been an elbow and probably a flagrant one. But last year, they put in the rule that if the defender gets into the offensive player's cylinder, the offensive player is entitled to that space. It's a foul on the defense. And so that's a good call by the official.
And it puts Livers to the free throw line. A strong performance for the sophomore off the bench yesterday.
And the good thing is I now know the signal for cylinder. It's the two hands chopping downwards.
Right in front of us. So Michigan back up to a 4-point lead. 4-0 start for the Wolverines. That's included that win over Villanova. Nice save to keep it alive for Providence. Nichols goes baseline. There's Teskey using that 7'1" frame of his. Taking over for Mo Wagner. Double team leads to a Brooks three, and he knocks it down. Nothing but nylon.
It's a big shot because, as Coach Greenberg said, the half-court offense has been sluggish for Michigan. And credit Providence, they've done a nice job getting back on missed shots and setting their defense, taking Michigan out of transition.
Brooks with his 4th made 3 of the season. It's back up to a 7-point lead for Michigan, and now a forced turnover on the other end for the Wolverines.
It's an extra pass, and Xavier Simpson, he's so good off the ball screen. You see the help comes down, and the recovery is late. And Eli Brooks, a nice little jolt to the offense off the bench by him. The guy who started 12 games last year for Xavier Simpson, and then Simpson ended up coming back into the lineup, and Brooks kind of fell off the map a little bit, but he's huge this year off of their bench.
Nichols for Providence sits down with 3 fouls. Here's Simpson driving with the right hand, high off glass and in. What a play by the junior guard.
He's got that little running hook. I love it.
Jackson drives baseline, strong to the glass. Second chance, no. And Brazdeikis comes down with it, but he traveled with it.
This is not a prayer. I mean, this is a shot that he works on all the time. And when you're 6 feet tall, and that's a gift, by the way. They put him more at like 5'10", 5'11". That's one of those shots you can go to, one of those Steve Nash hook shots in the lane. The giant killer. What a shot by Simpson.
Simpson, who almost had a triple-double yesterday against George Washington, has never missed a game in his Michigan career, 83 straight games played. Here's Livers on the run in transition. Brazdeikis strong to the hole.
He is so mature. And look at him run his hand through the hair. I mean, it's just, he's got the whole thing down. He's so mature at 20 years old for a freshman. Under control.
You wonder how much hair product goes into that lettuce, as you have called it, Chris Patola. As for Michigan, they have stretched out to this lead 11, the largest of the game, thanks to a 9-0 run. Brazdeikis, a key reason why, in double figures. About a 2-second difference between game clock and shot clock. Simpson again with the drive. No, but there's Teskey with the second chance. And the first half comes to a close as Michigan stretching it out to a 13-point lead on Providence, thanks to an 11-0 run for the Wolverines. Michigan shooting close to 50% in that first half on 11-0 run. Over to Chris with John Beilein.
Coach, it's been a grind here offensively. Went on a run there at the half. What was the difference?
I think you got two really good defensive teams. Both teams have great length. You know, they buy into defense, and that's the way the game's going to be a little bit right now. It's just really hard to score. People are, and one-day prep, people are switching screens, but we found a way at the end.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
John Beilein must be pleased. A 35-22 lead on Providence as we send it to the studio for the Dodge halftime report. Here's Phil, Fonz, and Seth. You're watching ESPN's Feast Week presented by Lowe's as we are back for the second half of the Air Force Reserve Basketball Hall of Fame Tip-Off Championship. Michigan ended that first half on an 11-0 run, lead Providence 35-22. Back with you, Chris Patola, John Brickley. We talk about the freshmen and how dominating they can be this year. Michigan has a really good one in Iggy Brazdeikis.
And he had a great first half. He really did. And he showed you the full arsenal, which he has. He could do it a lot of different ways. It starts with running the floor. Not a lot of guys this size with this power, force, and skill. Shows you can put it on the floor, take you off the bounce. Here he is getting active on the glass. Nice little tip in there and then running the floor again. And how about the hair? He curates it so well. We asked him about this the other day.
You said before the season that there's never been a player like you at Michigan before. That's a big statement to make. What do you mean by that?
I feel like I could do a lot of things on the court, like shooting, attacking, passing, and you know, a lot of players could do that, but also being left-handed, playing on the left side of the court as well. So I feel like I bring a different player to the game.
One hair lover to another, can I ask you a personal question?
Yes, sir.
What is going on with the lettuce up top there? What do you got going? What are we cultivating?
You know, right now it's just a little flow action. I don't got no gel in it, but when I gel it up, it's a nice slick back, professional look. I like to look, you know, slick. Slick and professional.
The many hair moods of Iggy Brazdeikis. Thanks, brother.
No problem.
I love the emphasis on slick and professional, and we're seeing that in this game today with that hairstyle.
This is the slick back look. Okay, this is what he's talking about when he gets it all matted down with the product, and he slicks it back. It's a risk. Okay, most fashion icons, they are very forward and they're risky in their choices.
We were counting yesterday how many times he puts the hand through the hair. A little tracker in the corner we might have to see what Iggy does throughout the rest of this game, but certainly a better performance that we saw from the freshman than we did yesterday.
And a nice run at the end of the half. You know, John Beilein told us going to halftime on this quick turnaround, you know, teams figuring each other out, what you're doing defensively. Both these teams doing a lot of switching, which I think has been disruptive.
Here's Duke, the freshman star, and a nice start to the second half for the Friars.
That backcourt's going to have to get going. Duke and A.J. Reeves is going to have to hit some shots here in the second half as well.
And a steal by Jackson, strong to the basket as Reeves able to foul it up in a foul against Michigan. And this plays into the notion of Providence. Over the last couple of games, they've struggled at times in the first half, and then all of a sudden, they find those adjustments in the second half.
It's really been their defense. You know, that steal reminiscent of their game yesterday against South Carolina, getting some steals, live ball turnovers, creating offense the other direction.
Jackson spots up, long range, back iron right to Duke, and a foul.
You know, you wonder if that 11-man rotation in the first half has a cumulative effect on Michigan. And now Charles Matthews with his third foul. That is not good. Really been the anchor for Michigan offensively up to this point.
Just 2 points so far for Matthews in the game. How does his absence impact the change for Michigan?
Well, that's what I mean. He's been the anchor up until this game for their offense, and they move him all over the place. It forces Diallo to have to guard somebody on that end.
As Providence has come out red hot, David Duke, 3 of 4 from the field. As Brazdeikis
nice pass.
Teskey, bucket and the foul. What a performance the junior centers had today for Michigan.
Has not been really an offensive option for them, just a big body defensively. How about the pick and roll? They try to switch it, and he's just too big. He's got the mouse in the house off the switch here. Look at that, he just buries him underneath. Hits Duke on the top of him, and what a touch pass over the top by Simpson.
Teskey completes the three-point play. Has big shoes to fill after Mo Wagner left for the NBA to take over that role for Michigan. 2 points away is Teskey from his career high. As Duke with the floater in the lane. Offensive rebound tracked down by Watson.
Coming into this game, Xavier Simpson had 26 assists in their 4 games. He's just such a floor general. It gets guys in the right spots, has such a good feel.
And the reach and foul against Michigan. Speaking of Duke, came in with so many accolades for Providence. He was named the Big East Freshman of the Year. Had that very notable commitment video, and I thought it was interesting. Ed Cooley had made the point of saying he made my year when David Duke decided to come to Providence. Just a mile away, he grew up from the college. Jackson long range, and Diallo coming through to Watson, who slams it.
Watson had the 2 fouls in the first half, didn't play a whole lot, but what a difference he makes. Was terrific yesterday in that game against South Carolina. Great size and a nice job playing off there on that beautiful pass from my man crush, Alpha Diallo. Look at this. I mean, he just never stops working. A great deception on the drop-off.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where's that bromance?
It's very high. It's very high. I got a chance to speak to him before the game, and I was, I blushed. I think I was blushing at one point.
I didn't want to come over and interrupt the conversation. Shot clock down to 8. Brodakis driving through, blocked by Watson in the lane. Providence only down by 10. Jackson spots up for 3, rattles in and out. Offensive rebound in the putback, and contact underneath.
This is reminiscent of that South Carolina game yesterday. Down at the half was Providence, and they came out with just a bolt of energy. These young guards, when you know they're into it, when they're showing that emotion and sharing it with other guys. A.J. Reeves and David Duke, teammates, AAU teammates last year. Reeves was the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Massachusetts. Both those guys accomplished in high school. And I think what they both realized is that college is hard. Like, guys are coming after you. You gotta compete. You gotta play hard on every possession. It's been an adjustment, but both guys have had a good weekend.
And they certainly complement each other. Reeves was named the Big East Freshman of the Week, averaging 24 points, shooting over 70%, and with Duke's struggles early on, he has been a great complement in the backcourt for Providence.
You know, we've gotten into this thing in college where we think every freshman just gets it right away, okay? Like, that doesn't happen for most. It's an adjustment.
Livers with the 3 on the answer for Michigan. The third made 3 of this game for the Wolverines. Watson maneuvering his way in. And there's Poole with the rebound. Corner 3 for Livers, knocks it down.
Such a tough matchup. Isaiah Livers. Last year, had to kind of change his game a little bit, but what an alternative he gives him at that 4 or 5 position. He can really knock it down. That thing is wet.
the Maui Invitational, a number of top programs in contention, Gonzaga, Auburn, but all the hype surrounding Duke. And if you haven't bought into the hype of Zion Williamson, I don't know what you're waiting for.
And Zion Williamson slamming it home.
Get used to that.
Are you kidding me? This is everything. This might be one of the most fun college teams to watch.
Saying it right now, that team could beat Cleveland.
Zion Williamson is special.
How about that pass?
I thought LeBron was one-shot deal, but apparently the next guy's coming.
Described Zion Williamson in 3 words, and I was like, oh my God. It was something special to behold.
Chris, he's certainly a force to be reckoned with. 6'7", 285. Have you ever seen a player with this type of caliber that has captivated college basketball like Zion Williamson?
None that likes anime cartoons quite like Zion Williamson. How about that? Look, he's a physical anomaly, and we like that. And I think the great surprise with him is that there's a basketball player within that big body and great athlete. It's been fun to watch, and so have they.
I'm more jealous of the almost 2 million followers on Instagram for Zion Williamson. Bucket there by Reeves as Providence down by 13. Here to 18th ranked Michigan. A Wolverines team that certainly made a statement earlier in the week with their win over Villanova. As Brazdeikis misses in the lane. If you're Providence, Chris, how do you break through this defense of Michigan?
It's a tough question because they're so connected. You know, and they're doing this. I mean, Michigan's up 13, and Charles Matthews has been a non-factor. I mean, that's how good Michigan can be.
A lot more questions than answers for Ed Cooley and Providence, down by 13 to Michigan. We're back in a moment.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge Black Friday savings.
A remarkable career for John Beilein that has included the 800 win that he picked up against Norfolk State in the season opener this year. He has revolutionized this Michigan program, a couple of trips to the national championship game, and certainly one of the all-time greats as a head coach in college basketball.
He's one of the 5 best coaches we have in our game now. I mean, he is terrific, and it's sustained success. He's won at a lot of different places, and he's adapted. As good an offensive guy as he has adapted his offense to his personnel, and he's bought into the defensive end, certainly over the last few years with his Michigan teams. I have great respect for John Beilein and the job that he has done.
Signed a contract extension in the offseason with Michigan. There was talks about him potentially taking the Pistons job. Here he has Michigan off a year where they had 33 wins, a Big Ten tournament title, and another trip to the national championship game. And this afternoon has Michigan in a prime spot against Providence.
You know, I talked about it earlier about the quick turnaround for these two teams. You know, his teams, when I was at Duke, preparing for Michigan, we played them in Maui in 2012, and it was on a one-day turnaround. It's by far the toughest preparation. Just offensively, their stuff was so intricate. They have so many guys who can do so many different things. It's a tough preparation for any team.
And we noticed that the other day at shoot-around. It was very particular. It was to point that read and react offensive system that he has put together. Now you add the elite defense as well. We take a look at this last play with Poole.
That's a well-schooled defense right there. I mean, the rotation comes over. And the crowd doesn't like the call, but that's one of those, that's how connected that defense is. I mean, your defense is good as your weak side or your help side. And there, a nice slide over and try to take it right in the chest.
Watson gets the second one to fall. As Brooks checks back in here for Michigan. An elite defense over the last couple of years. And now Providence with the full court press applied. Simpson, the catalyst at the point position for Michigan. Brazdeikis able to draw contact by Diallo.
Providence goes to a 2-3 zone. We've seen them play fits and spurts of zone this year. I haven't played it much here today. I think a little bit concerned with Michigan's ability to shoot it. This is a big lineup Michigan has out there, playing Livers, Teske, and Brazdeikis all in the same front court.
Simpson with 9 on the shot clock. Bounce pass, great feed to Brazdeikis. How about the day Simpson is having 8 assists for Michigan? And an offensive foul on the other end against Providence.
This is just great offense. I mean, it really is. It's a cut behind the back of the zone. The defenders can't see you on the back. They're lifted a little bit. Brazdeikis does a nice job playing behind, and man, Simpson threads the needle.
In every game so far for Michigan, the junior guard has had at least 5 assists. You take a look at the intangibles for Simpson, one of the top point guards. And a push underneath.
I'll just...
That's his first team sport.
Michigan a 46-33 lead here against Providence in Uncasville, Connecticut. Brooks for 3.
What a funny bounce that was. Here's this play on the other end, this 2-3 zone. You see how lifted it is. He's gonna just come behind this zone right here and does a nice job playing off, and here's the find. Look at the read, right between the defenders. And a nice finish on the other side of the rim. Just smart basketball.
Mentioned the numbers, Chris, on Simpson in terms of his facilitation of the basketball. What makes him such a dynamic point guard?
Oh, he's old. That's the first thing. He's a junior, which helps. But he's real stocky. You know, he's only about 6 feet tall, but he's 190 pounds. And so he can kind of carve his space, and he gets in among the trees. And has a really good IQ. You know, see there, he gives up his dribble, but he's not dead. Like, he keeps it alive, and he uses that body to carve out his space. And nice defensive play there by Nichols.
His 3rd block of the game. 8 assists to just 1 turnover for Simpson in this game. Rarely does he make mistakes. Livers feeling it from beyond the arc. Diallo reaching up high for the rebound for Providence. Malik White, who has been a spark off the bench for the Friars. Diallo with the spin move, finishes with the right hand. What a great move by the junior Diallo.
They force you into such tough shots, though. I mean, what a tough shot to only come away with 2 there.
Livers, great vision in front, able to find Teske for the slam. He's now matched his career high with 15.
How about the adjustment? The 2-3 zone offense. Michigan breaks out. Those big guys playing behind the back of the zone.
Watson in the low post, muscles his way and draws contact. And that takes us to a timeout.
Here it is again. I mean, look, these guys are lifted. He's just going to work underneath here. Teske. And Michigan doing a nice job adjusting. There it is. Great way to beat the 2-3 zone is play behind it. What a find. Teske.
Free throw contest. Our participants currently in shot 30 seconds to make as many free throws as possible.
I'm always thankful in November. But with college basketball serving up Feast Week on November 15th, I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my. Tune into the Maui Invitational starting Monday, November 19th.
Some of the top programs in the country will be at the Maui Invitational. We talked about Duke, Gonzaga, and how about a team like Auburn in the top 10?
We got a couple guys eligible in Austin Wiley, D'Angelo Purifoy. And they have one of I think, the best backcourt in the SEC. And Jared Harper and Bryce Brown. And they're deep. They've got great rim protection. That's going to be exciting. You're going to get a good championship. There's no question about it. Be it, if Auburn advances past Duke or if it is a Duke Gonzaga, which is what I think it will be. Those have been the two most explosive offensive teams I've seen. That'll be a really good tournament.
If that's the championship game, Duke or Gonzaga, who do you take?
I would probably take Duke just because, again, I think Gonzaga doesn't have the talent that Duke has. And then the other thing, it's a little bit like Michigan. Like a lot of how you guard them is being able to get back. Gonzaga's going to at least have the ability to make some shots to set their defense. Duke has been so explosive so far, though.
Traveling call, and Duke freshman, that has been one of the key storylines so far here in November. You got R.J. Barrett, Zion Williamson, and the big number at the bottom, over 72 points per game. That is more than 102 Division I teams. It's just incredible.
Well, that's reloading. I mean, they didn't have a guy coming back who averaged more than 4 points a game, and you're getting that point production from 4 new guys.
Diallo with the short jumper. And now a tie up underneath. And the possession arrow to Michigan.
Clearly Michigan is way ahead of where Providence is right now. But you see the physical intangibles that Providence has. They're long and they play so hard. I mean, those two guys go into the glass on the shot. They never give up on a play.
Give credit to the depth of Michigan based on the foul troubles that we've seen from their star veteran player in Charles Matthews, maintaining this lead over Providence, where Matthews has played only 15 minutes based on the foul trouble that he's had.
Well, this Michigan team is way ahead of where they were even last November. And again, they went to the national championship game. That's when you know that the defensive mentality in particular is embedded in the culture. When you can withstand the turnover that they've had, that's a culture.
Talk about foul trouble. David Duke, the star freshman for Providence, on the bench now with 4 fouls. Poole, long range 3. And Matthews there for the offensive rebound. If you're Providence, Chris, how do you adjust without David Duke on the floor?
Well, Langford's given them good minutes. I mean, they got to get stops here. And I think Ed Cooley's trying to figure out if it's the man or the zone. Michigan has scored against both.
And a 3-point shot by Eli Brooks extends the lead here for Michigan. It's largest of the game, 51-36. Ashton Langford driving through traffic, and Teskey there for the rebound. Poole, the jab step, triple threat style into the corner. Matthews unable, Teskey there, another rebound. He's now got 7 in this game, and Michigan breaking it open here. Midway through the second half, 17 points, a career high for the junior.
What a day he's had. What a find. I mean, the offensive production from Teskey, relentless. A good pass to the corner 3, the miss. And Teskey and his massive body carving out space. Just relentless, not to be denied. And then the emotion coming down the other end. The big fella.
And a reminder as well, SportsCenter coming your way tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern on ESPN with Bucci and Kenny. They'll have Vikings-Bears post-game reaction, plus a preview of that big Monday Night Football matchup between the Chiefs and the Rams. And how about Condoleezza Rice? Could she be the next Browns head coach? SportsCenter coming your way 11 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and on the ESPN app.
She couldn't do worse than the last Browns coach. Why not? What can't she do?
I give the Browns credit. They certainly think outside of the box.
That has not been good.
John Teske having a great performance, a career high, mentioned 17 points, leading Michigan this afternoon. Diallo, who's in double figures with 10 points along with 6 rebounds. But turnovers, that have been the issue this season for Providence. Make that now 10 in this game for the Friars. And Ed Cooley has said in shoot-around on Friday, lose now so we can recover later. And he's got a young team that, again, Providence has been more veteran style the last 5 years, equaling 5 trips to the NCAA tournament. Poole with those iconic short shorts. With a defender in his face, front ironed it, got his own rebound.
What do you think that is on the shorts? About a 7-inch inseam? Maybe an 8-inch inseam.
All I know is he can don those pretty well. Better than I ever could. Teske, long range. And Jackson picks up the rebound. Diallo traveled with the basketball. Now the 11th turnover for Providence. Again, there's a reason why John Beilein said Jordan Poole has an overdose of swag. I mean, there's not many people that pull these shorts off.
It takes a lot of confidence to go with that look. I mean, there's a reason that short shorts have not really come back in until Jordan Poole decided to go there.
Well, after the shot he had last year in the Sweet 16, to get to the Sweet 16, I should say, against Houston, that iconic buzzer beater, he can pretty much wear whatever he wants. 8 minutes left to go in this one here, Simpson. And he will go to the free throw line as we have reached a timeout here in Uncasville. Michigan starting to pull away against Providence, up big here in Uncasville. All right, Phil, look forward to that matchup. Indiana, part of what has been considered a deep conference this year in the Big Ten for Archie Miller in his second year. And you take a look at the preseason poll. Here's a Michigan team, came in ranked number 2. And you look at the depth, so much talent there, including Iowa. With their success, they had Chris going up and coming away with wins at MSG over Oregon and UConn.
Preseason polls are, you might as well crumple those things up and throw them in the garbage bin. I mean, really, nobody knows anything. I mean, I think Michigan's been the best team so far in the conference. Indiana had a big-time win over one of the favorites in the Big East in Marquette. And Iowa, as you said, won that tournament the other day. So it's going to be a much better conference, obviously, than it was last season.
Certainly.
That game today will be good. Indiana and Arkansas has been a surprise. They have a pro in Daniel Gafford. And I'm going to steal a name from Seth Greenberg, Isaiah Cup-a-Joe. One of the freshman additions to Arkansas. That'll be a good game.
The SEC also deep this year as well after sending 8 teams to the tournament. A team like Purdue as well could make some noise in the Big Ten this season with Carson Edwards at the helm. Diallo with a defender in his face, and his struggles today have continued for the Friars.
We've talked about it. This Providence team at times can go on droughts, scoring droughts, especially if Diallo is not putting the ball in the basket, is not creating offense for other guys. They have gone on droughts in periods. It's one of the reasons they lost that Wichita State game And it has been a struggle for that guy today.
Mentioned the scoring drought now. Providence almost over 5 minutes without a made field goal. It's a young Providence team, but with a lot of upside. As for Michigan, here's Brazdeikis. The strength of the big fella, and he'll go to the free throw line.
Fouls on 15, and Holtz. His second personal, team 7.
Brazdeikis matching his season average today. Man they call Iggy, and I'll tell you this, he's a Lithuanian-Canadian freshman here at Michigan, but you take a look at some of the video, he had some skills at the young age.
I mean, nobody's playing defense. Where's the defense? This is, he's going to be a star. He really is. I mean, he played in the 2016, played in the FIBA under 16 tournament, or under 17s rather, and averaged 14 and 7. Does a lot of different things and is assimilated so quickly with this Michigan team.
Duke, that one spins down for Providence.
And that Spain trip helped. You know, Michigan going to Spain this summer, I think really was good for Iggy.
When we talk about the confidence of the freshman, as Matthews comes up with the floater, let's not forget his father's an avid MMA fighter. Iggy's a huge Conor McGregor fan, so there's a lot of swagger that goes with that confidence and that playmaking ability.
Some people are avid fishermen, some are avid golfers. He's an avid MMA fighter.
Well, we all have our own hobbies, I guess. Shot clock to 5 for Jackson, here with under 6 minutes to go. And Brazdeikis fighting for possession as Michigan on a roll here, up by 20 over the Friars, shooting close to 50% from the field. That was a struggle for Michigan's offense in the early going of the season, but they have seemingly picked it up after the win over Villanova, yesterday's victory against George Washington, and here today against Providence. Down to 2 for Simpson. And a shot clock violation. Where do you see, Chris, this Michigan team down the road this year? A lot of turnover, veteran presence, though. Where is the ceiling for them?
I mean, I think the ceiling is the roof, to borrow an expression. Yeah, I think they have a chance to go back to the Final Four. I really do. They guard at such a high level. We've seen some guys, you know, Isaiah Livers has had a really good weekend. Look at him guarding the ball here.
One-on-one with Duke, and the tip-in foul by Nichols.
And they've really come alive offensively. It had been a slow start to the year. Hadn't shot it real well coming into this tournament. Had 15 threes yesterday, have shot it well again today. And, you know, a guy like John Teskey who steps up and gives them some production. It can hurt you in a lot of ways.
Isaiah Jackson called for the foul. As Michigan up by 18 in the Air Force Reserve Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off championship here from Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. The Michigan team looking to start 5-0 on the season. And Chris, you mentioned the struggles of Poole off the start, has been able to reverse that trend. Again, the Maui Invitational starting up on Monday. Coverage on ESPN2 and on ESPNU. The likes of Gonzaga, along with Duke and Auburn in the mix. Many people would love to see a Gonzaga-Duke championship game. A Gonzaga team, I still find that note remarkable. 19 straight trips to the NCAA tournament, 18 in a row under Mark Few.
It'll finally be nice to see Jay Billis and Bill Walton get to work. I mean, what is this?
All they do is they just relax in the sunshine.
I'm seeing extended videos of golfing and fishing and sailing. Get to work, Billis and Walton.
Meanwhile, John Beilein has to be impressed with his team's performance again today. It's been an interesting offseason for John Beilein, who underwent open-heart surgery to clear out 2 blocked arteries in August. Joking this week that he said, I can go another 65 years. But he has redefined this Michigan program as an elite defense over the last couple of years.
Providence now on 0.
I mean, you take a look at this defense, Chris. What do you make of the aspects of why this Michigan defense could be one of the best under John Beilein?
Well, there's nobody that you can pick on. I mean, the game of basketball right now is so dependent on matchups, and the pick and roll has really engineered those types of matchups. And so a lot of times in a scouting report, there will be a guy that you say, once we get that matchup, we're going to take advantage of that. This team, their man-to-man, it starts with guarding the ball. And there's not, like, all of these guys can guard their individual matchup. That helps. And then we've seen throughout today how connected they are on the help side. They do a nice job shrinking the floor, bringing help if that first level breaks down. And that's where they've you know, Luke Yaklich has done a nice job bringing, as their defensive coordinator, if you will. They've really, I think, put an emphasis on becoming outstanding on that end.
Saw the note on the Michigan defense. Held their first 3 opponents under 50 points. A 21-point lead for Michigan on cruise control.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Air Force Reserve. Explore your opportunities. Go to afreserve.com. And City, welcome what's next.
Absolutely, Phil. A 21-point lead here in Uncasville for Michigan over Providence. And Chris, let's take a look at today's Hall of Fame shining moment, brought to you by Zales.
It's the big guys for Michigan. Iggy Brazdakis and John Teske have had a day. A combined 32 points from both of them. Teske came in averaging 6 a game. He has 17 on the day. What a presence he's made on the inside with that big body of his. If those two guys can anchor the interior, we know how good that perimeter is with Charles Matthews and Xavier Simpson and Jordan Poole. Man, that really fills out this team offensively.
And it speaks to the depth of how good Michigan is. Again, a guy like Charles Matthews today struggling. Guys like John Teske come in, pick up the slack along with Iggy. You mentioned it, those two combining for 32 points, 13 of 23 from the field, and 13 rebounds for Michigan. Speaking of Matthews, partially blocked by Nichols. The 4th block by the freshman out of Conway, South Carolina. And again, John Teske with a career-high performance here today. Iggy, after his struggles yesterday against George Washington, and will be called for the charge.
Player control foul is charged against 13. Iggy Brazdakis is second personal. 8 on the team.
Meanwhile, for Providence, here's a team that got off to a good start, had their issues against Wichita State. As White fires up from beyond the arc. Where's the potential you see in this Providence team moving forward?
They're deep. I mean, they are. And I think Ed Cooley has gone with their younger guys. So he's starting 3 freshmen because he wants to err on the side of talent. And then, like he told us, they're going to fail early to win big late. And I said this at the top. I think this team has a chance to be really good come January and February if those young guys come along like they should.
Foul away from the ball. This is a Providence team that's made it to 5 straight NCAA tournament appearances. They've also took Villanova last year, losing to the Wildcats in the Big East tournament title game. But yet, again, the veterans are not there anymore. Cartwright, Bullock, Dunn. It's a new generation of players coming in for Ed Cooley.
Well, that's kind of there's this expectation with what Ed Cooley has done of reloading at Providence. And I think the next evolution as these guys get older is making that run now through the NCAA tournament.
Brosdakis closing in on a double-double, 17 points and 7 rebounds for the Michigan freshman. I think that's the 5th time he's put the hand through the hair.
I mean, the locks are just fun to look at. The style choice is aggressive, but I think it works.
You and I both are jealous of that hair.
We asked him about the hair the other day. We should have asked him about the serpent tattoo that he has on his arm. That's another very aggressive choice.
I said it. That guy has a huge amount of swag and confidence for a freshman. Part of this top recruiting class for John Beeline. Here's Poole. Brosdakis. Why not from the corner for 3? Iggy now with 20 to lead the way for the Wolverines. And a foul the other way against Michigan.
Like you said, he's left-handed. You wouldn't believe it, but he is left-handed. And I mean, how about the versatility? How about the versatility? Shows you the perimeter shot. He's been a force inside. He's been a monster on the glass, and his coach loves it as he comes out with 2 minutes left. What a day from Iggy.
One of the relationships that he's been able to form is a friendship with Nick Staukis, part of that 2012 recruiting class. And again, the bounce-back performance, had foul trouble issues against George Washington, but here today, right now a team high, 20 points. And there's that tattoo that has drawn your eye. As now Poole and Matthews will take a seat. This Michigan crowd that travels well with this team on their feet in appreciation. As some of the reserves now in for a Michigan team that is going to improve to 5-0 on the season. What a start for the Wolverines. That again included that statement win against Villanova. I don't know, Chris, that you can't make national championships happen in November, but certainly you can make statements in November. That's what Michigan has done.
They certainly have, and it starts with that guy, John Beeline, has his team ready to go, and I think they are much farther ahead now than they were last November, and I think that Spain trip had a lot to do with it. This team had the chance to practice the 10 times and then travel together, be together, play some games during the summer.
Under 2 minutes to go, Michigan in control. Brandon Johns out of East Lansing, taken away by Edwards. As Johns comes down with the rebound for Michigan in transition to the Wolverines. And a traveling violation against Michigan. While we have a chance, Chris, let's look at today's player of the game, brought to you by Air Force Reserve, and none better than the catalyst and the quarterback for Michigan.
He deserves it. Had a great game yesterday. Has 34 assists in their 5 games to this point. 8 assists today, only 1 turnover. He is the engine that makes this Michigan machine go.
16 assists in the tournament this weekend to compare to only 3 turnovers. And again, he has been that catalyst and will be that driving force for Michigan this year. if they're making another deep run into the NCAA tournament.
And we've talked about his offense, but he's outstanding on the other end too. Terrific on the ball. His ball pressure is so disruptive. And he's not afraid now. He is a tough son of a gun.
And we saw the note before, 34 assists this season compared to only the 8 turnovers. Meanwhile, Providence, they're going to fall to 3-2 on the season. Had a good showing yesterday against South Carolina. Sparked by a second half where Duke scored 12 of his 20 points. But how does Providence regroup moving forward?
Oh, this is part of the growing up process. This is a good game for them to play against a really good Michigan team, a team that's old in a lot of spots, a team that guarded them. And that's what Ed Cooley told us on Friday. He said, look, regardless, we're going to get 2 good games out of being in this tournament. And that's what they got today. They played a really good Michigan team that's only going to help them as they move through their non-conference schedule.
Here's David DeJulius, the Detroit, Michigan native. Part of this freshman class coming in for John Beilein. As Duke comes up with the bucket off glass for Providence. That's 12 now for the freshman. But for Michigan, a couple of big statements they have made this week. Villanova, their win over George Washington, and here today, crowned champions with their win over Providence.
They have made a loud statement over the last 3 games. There is no question about it. There are not 5 teams better than Michigan right now. They are absolutely a top 5 team.
John Beilein has this team on a different level. The champions here at Mohegan Sun Arena following a 66-47 win over Providence. For Chris Spatola, I'm John Brickley. Up next on ESPN, more Feast Weeks basketball presented by Lowe's as Indiana travels to Fayetteville to take on Arkansas. For now, we send it back to the studio with Phil, LaFonso, and Seth.